Welcome to our classic autumn basket cake program. You'll be needing the Wilton Tip 47 for this design. I'm using a 3-layer 8-inch cake, but if you're making this design for the first time, I recommend starting on a smaller round cake. The design is not difficult by any means, but it is tedious, and to cover a larger cake with it can quickly become tiresome. You'll notice a jagged side of the tip and a smooth side. We always want to keep the smooth side touching the cake at all times and the jagged side facing us. Begin at the bottom of the cake and make a line straight up to the top edge. Then flip your wrist so that the tip is now perpendicular with the line you just drew, and make a series of small sideways lines with about the same size as the tip gap between each, all up the side of the cake. These should be pretty consistently about 1.5 inches long. Then run another long line parallel with the first. Notice at this point you can still see the cake through the gaping holes. These holes are the starting point for our new sideways lines, covering and extending beyond our longer one, again, about 1.5 inches in total. This design is incredibly forgiving, so if some of your lines blur over others, or there are still some gaps where the cake peeks through by the end of covering your cake, worry not. We'll be filling it in at the end. For the base of the basket, use any small open star tip in the same color as your basket. Feel free to make these alternating rosettes or simply drop some dots to create a finishing touch. If you'd like more detailed floral instructions and you haven't done so already, please feel free to check out our Perfect Rose program. Here's a quick lesson to make a pine cone using the Wilton Tip 104 and dark brown buttercream. Start by making an extra tall core and then trace it in small petals that the tip naturally produces when you apply a small amount of pressure to the piping bag. As you pipe each new layer of the pine cone, start angling the petals more vertically until you reach the top and finish off with petals perpendicular to the flower nail. Here I'll feature some of my favorite wisteria-esque flowers, using a medium-small circle tip for the tapering green core and covering that in little dots of buttercream and a closed star tip. My best advice for these is to make them two-toned, darker at the thicker base and a lighter buttercream at the tapered end. For this design, we only need flowers on one side of the cake. The rest will be hidden by the basket lid. So we'll cover that hidden section of the cake in our brown buttercream, parallel side-by-side lines using our star tip. Then, using a larger star tip with orange buttercream, we'll squeegee in some pumpkins. Later, we'll use our smaller star tip with brown buttercream to pipe little stems in the top centers of them. Before we add the basket lid, we need to make sure it has something to sit on so that it won't squish our beautiful buttercream flowers. Measure and cut a wooden dowel to just above the height of the flowers and place amongst the bouquet. Optionally add just a few more flowers and greenery in towards the center of the cake. They will mostly be hidden, but just on the off chance that there's some visibility, you want something pretty to be seen. Now let's make our basket lid. We'll be making the lid out of our buttery sugar cookie. Roll the dough out to about a 1/4 inch thick and trace a cake bottom that is the same size as the cakes you've decided to bake. Once it's baked and cooled, feel free to add an optional layer of chocolatey candy melt to the bottom. The cookie is generally pretty stable once it's cooled. I usually do this for a psychosomatic added benefit of stability and because it tastes delicious. Center the cookie lid, one side touching the edge of the cake and the opposite side resting on our wooden dowel above the buttercream flowers. Fill in the flower bouquet with more greenery, and then using the basket weave tip, finish off the design on the entire surface area of the lid of the basket. Trace the outside edge of the cookie using a small star tip and brown buttercream. Either do dots or this overlapping dot and drag method. No cake is complete until it's been properly pearlized and gilded in gold luster dust. I hope you love this autumn floral basket design, and I can't wait to see yours.